Because what if the very thing you've been told to fix is actually your greatest strength? What if the quiet, the deep thinking, the need for space isn't a weakness, but an advantage most people don't understand? You see, we live in a world that celebrates noise. The loudest voice in the room often gets the most attention. But attention is not the same as impact. And somewhere along the way, many introverts started to believe that to succeed, they have to become someone else. More outgoing, more talkative, more visible. But that's not how real strength works, because power doesn't always speak loudly. Sometimes it listens. Sometimes it observes. Sometimes it waits and then moves with intention. The question is not how to become more like everyone else. The real question is, how do you use who you already are more effectively? Because when you stop trying to fit into a world that wasn't designed for you and start understanding how to navigate it your own way, everything begins to change. This is not about becoming louder. This is about becoming sharper, more aware, more intentional. Because when you learn how to turn your introversion into power, you don't just survive in a loud world. You start to lead in it. Quiet is strength. Challenge is one of the most common assumptions in today's world, that power only belongs to those who are loud, expressive, and constantly visible. From an early age, many people are taught that speaking more means leading more, that confidence looks like constant expression, and that silence is a sign of weakness. But that belief overlooks a different kind of strength, one that operates beneath the surface. Being quiet does not mean lacking ideas or confidence. In many cases, it means observing more, thinking more deeply, and choosing words with intention. When you are not rushing to speak, you create space to understand what is actually happening around you. You notice details others miss. You hear not just what people are saying, but how they are saying it. This awareness gives you an advantage because your responses are grounded in understanding rather than impulse. Quiet strength is also about control. When you are not driven by the need to constantly express yourself, you are not reacting to every situation. You are choosing when and how to engage. This level of control creates a sense of stability. People begin to see you as someone who is thoughtful and deliberate, someone who speaks when it matters. That makes your words carry more weight. There's also confidence in silence. True confidence does not require constant validation. It does not need to prove itself through noise. When you are comfortable being quiet, it shows that you are secure in your thoughts and your presence. You are not trying to fill every moment with words because you understand that your value is not measured by how much you say. Quiet strength allows you to build deeper connections. When you listen more than you speak, people feel heard. They feel understood. This creates trust, and trust is the foundation of influence. People are more likely to open up to someone who listens with attention rather than someone who dominates the conversation. It also gives you time to process before responding. Instead of reacting emotionally or impulsively, you can think through your response. This leads to better decisions and clearer communication. Your words become more precise because they are not rushed. In environments where everyone is competing to be heard, quiet individuals often stand out in a different way. Their presence feels calm, focused, and grounded. When they do speak, people pay attention because it is not constant, it is intentional. Quiet is not the absence of strength. It is a different form of it. It is the ability to remain composed, to observe deeply, and to act with purpose. It is strength that does not need to announce itself, but is felt through actions and presence. Depth over noise is about choosing substance instead of surface. In a world that rewards constant talking, quick reactions, and visible energy, it can feel like being heard requires being loud. But noise is not the same as value. It often fills space without adding meaning. Depth, on the other hand, takes time. It requires thinking, understanding, and intention. Many conversations today are driven by speed rather than clarity. People respond quickly, speak often, and try to stay visible. But when everything is immediate, there is little room for reflection. This leads to shallow communication where ideas are expressed but not fully developed. Depth requires you to slow down, to think before speaking, and to focus on what truly matters. Choosing depth means you are not trying to say everything. You are focused on saying the right things. This creates a different kind of impact. When your words come from thought and understanding, they carry more weight. People may not hear you as often, but when they do, your message stays with them. Depth also applies to how you understand situations. Instead of reacting to what is obvious, you look beneath the surface. You consider different perspectives, you question assumptions, and you take time to process information. This allows you to see connections and patterns that others might overlook. It gives you insight, and insight leads to better decisions. Noise often comes from the need to be seen or validated. It is driven by the pressure to contribute constantly, even when there is nothing meaningful to add. Depth, however, is not concerned with constant output. It is focused on quality. It values understanding over appearance. This shift changes how you engage with the world. Depth also creates clarity. When you think deeply about something, you begin to simplify it. You remove unnecessary complexity and focus on what is essential. This makes your communication clearer and more effective. People understand you better because your message is grounded and intentional. There is also confidence in choosing depth. It means you are comfortable not being part of every conversation. You are willing to step back, observe, and contribute when it matters. This requires trust in your own process, knowing that your value does not come from constant visibility. Depth influences how others perceive you. When you consistently bring thoughtful insights, people begin to associate you with clarity and understanding. They seek your perspective because they know it is considered and meaningful. Choosing depth over noise is not about withdrawing or staying silent. It is about being intentional with your attention and your words. It is about creating impact through understanding rather than volume, focusing on meaning rather than constant expression. Listening creates influence, is based on a simple idea that most people overlook. Influence is not built by speaking more. It is built by understanding more. And understanding begins with listening. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, the person who truly listens stands out in a powerful way. Most conversations are not really about listening. They are about waiting for a turn to speak. People hear words, but they are already preparing their response instead of fully understanding what is being said. This creates a surface, level connection where communication happens, but real understanding does not. When you listen with intention, everything changes. You are not just hearing words, you are paying attention to tone, emotion, and meaning. You begin to understand what someone is actually trying to express, not just what they are saying. This deeper level of listening allows you to connect in a way that feels genuine. Listening also builds trust. When people feel heard, they feel valued. They are more open, more honest, and more willing to share. This creates stronger relationships because the connection is based on understanding rather than assumption. Trust is the foundation of influence, and listening is what creates that foundation. There is also an advantage in information. When you listen more than you speak, you learn more about people, situations, and dynamics. You gather insights that others may miss because they are focused on expressing themselves. This information gives you clarity, and clarity allows you to respond more effectively. Listening creates space. It allows others to express themselves fully without interruption. In that space, people often reveal more than they initially intended. They share thoughts, concerns, and ideas that provide a deeper understanding of their perspective. This understanding allows you to respond in a way that resonates. It also makes your words more impactful. When you take the time to listen, your response is based on what was actually said. It feels relevant and thoughtful. People are more likely to pay attention because they feel understood. Your words carry more weight because they are connected to the conversation. Listening requires patience. It means resisting the urge to interrupt, to correct, or to immediately respond. It means being present in the moment instead of thinking ahead. This patience creates a different kind of presence, one that is calm and focused. There is also awareness in listening. You begin to notice patterns in how people communicate. You understand their motivations, their concerns, and their perspectives. This awareness allows you to navigate conversations more effectively. Influence is not about controlling others, it is about connecting with them. When you listen deeply, you create that connection. You build trust, gain insight, and respond with clarity. This is how listening becomes a powerful form of influence, shaping how others perceive you and how they respond to you. Thinking before speaking is about creating a gap between impulse and response. In most conversations, people react instantly. A thought appears, and it is expressed without much consideration. This speed often leads to words that are unclear, emotional, or unnecessary. When you take the time to think before you speak, you change the quality of your communication. This process begins with awareness. You become conscious of the moment when a thought forms and resist the urge to immediately express it. That pause may seem small, but it gives you control. Instead of reacting automatically, you choose how to respond. This choice allows you to shape your message with intention. Thinking before speaking helps you organize your thoughts. Instead of sharing scattered ideas, you can present them in a clear and structured way. This makes it easier for others to understand you. Clarity in communication is not about using more words, it is about using the right words in the right way. It also reduces emotional reactions. In situations where emotions are high, immediate responses can lead to misunderstandings or conflict. When you pause and think, you give yourself time to process those emotions. This allows you to respond calmly rather than react impulsively. Your words become more measured and thoughtful. There is also respect in thoughtful communication. When you take the time to consider what you are going to say, it shows that you value the conversation. You are not just speaking to be heard, you are speaking to contribute something meaningful. This changes how others perceive you. They begin to see you as someone who is deliberate and intentional. Thinking before speaking also helps you adapt to different situations. You can consider the context, the audience, and the purpose of your message. This awareness allows you to choose your words more effectively. You are not using the same approach in every situation. You are adjusting based on what is needed. It also strengthens your confidence. When you know that your words are considered and intentional, you feel more secure in expressing them. You are not second-guessing yourself after speaking because you have already taken the time to think. This creates a sense of control over your communication. There is also an element of listening in this process. When you think before speaking, you are more likely to fully understand what was said before responding. This leads to more relevant and meaningful interactions. Your responses are connected to the conversation rather than disconnected reactions. Thinking before speaking does not mean overthinking every word. It means being intentional. It is about creating a moment of reflection before expression, allowing your communication to be clear, calm, and purposeful. Energy management matters. Is about understanding that your energy is one of your most valuable resources. Especially as an introvert, it's not just about how much time you have, but how much energy you bring to what you do. Two people can spend the same amount of time on something, but the one with better energy management will perform at a higher level. Introverts often lose energy through constant social interaction, noise, and environments that demand continuous engagement. This doesn't mean they lack ability, it means their energy works differently. When this is not understood, it leads to burnout. You push yourself to keep up with expectations that don't align with how you function, and over time, your performance and focus begin to decline. Managing your energy starts with awareness. You begin to notice what drains you and what restores you. Certain environments, conversations, or tasks may leave you feeling exhausted, while others may leave you feeling focused and clear. This awareness helps you make better choices about where and how you spend your energy. It also requires boundaries. Not every opportunity needs to be accepted, and not every situation requires your full engagement. When you say yes to everything, you spread your energy too thin. Setting limits allows you to protect your focus and give your best to what truly matters. This is not about avoiding responsibility. It is about being intentional with your capacity. Rest is an important part of energy management. It is not a reward after exhaustion. It is a strategy to maintain performance. Taking time to recharge allows your mind to reset. For introverts, this often means time alone, away from constant stimulation. This quiet time restores clarity and helps you return with renewed focus. Energy management also affects how you show up. When your energy is balanced, you are more present, more engaged, and more effective. You listen better, think more clearly, and communicate with more intention. When your energy is depleted, even simple tasks can feel difficult, and your interactions may lose depth. There is also a connection between energy and priorities. When you are clear about what matters most, you can direct your energy toward those areas. This prevents you from wasting effort on things that do not align with your goals. Focused energy creates better results because it is not scattered. Managing energy also means recognizing your natural rhythms. There are times when you feel more focused and times when your energy is lower. Aligning your most important tasks with your high energy periods increases productivity. This alignment allows you to work with your natural tendencies instead of against them. Energy management is not about doing less, it is about doing what matters with greater intention. It allows you to maintain consistency, avoid burnout, and operate at a level that reflects your true ability. Authenticity builds power is about understanding that real strength does not come from trying to become someone else. It comes from fully accepting who you are and using that as your foundation. Many people spend a large part of their lives adjusting themselves to fit expectations. They change how they speak, how they act, and even how they think just to be accepted or to feel like they belong. For introverts, this pressure can be even stronger. There is often an expectation to be more outgoing, more expressive, more visible. Over time, this creates a disconnect. You begin to move away from your natural way of thinking and interacting, and that creates tension. It becomes harder to feel comfortable because you are constantly trying to maintain an image that is not fully aligned with who you are. Authenticity removes that pressure. It allows you to operate in a way that feels natural. When you are not forcing yourself to fit into a different mold, your energy is not divided. You can focus fully on what you are doing instead of managing how you appear. This creates a sense of ease and clarity in your actions. There is also confidence in authenticity. When you accept your strengths and your limitations, you are no longer seeking constant validation. You understand your value without needing to prove it through comparison. This type of confidence is stable because it is not dependent on external approval. Authenticity also strengthens your communication. When you speak from a place that is true to you, your words carry more meaning. People can sense when something is genuine. This creates trust because your message feels real. You are not trying to impress. You are trying to express something that is aligned with your perspective. It also builds consistency. When you are authentic, your behavior does not change drastically depending on the situation or the people around you. This consistency makes you more reliable. People know what to expect from you, and that creates a sense of stability in your interactions. Authenticity allows you to use your natural strengths more effectively. As an introvert, this might include deep thinking, strong listening skills, and the ability to focus. When you stop trying to replace these traits with something else, you begin to refine them. You turn them into tools that support your growth. There is also freedom in being authentic. You are not constantly adjusting yourself to meet expectations. You make choices based on what aligns with you, not just what is expected. This freedom allows you to move with more intention and less hesitation. Authenticity builds power because it creates alignment between who you are and how you act. This alignment removes internal conflict and allows your energy, your thoughts, and your actions to work together. It creates a foundation that is stable, clear, and capable of growth. Silence becomes strategy. It is about understanding that not every moment requires a response, and not every situation benefits from immediate expression. In a world where people feel pressure to constantly speak, share, and react, silence can feel uncomfortable. But when used intentionally, silence is not empty, it is purposeful. Most communication is driven by urgency. People respond quickly, often without fully thinking through what they want to say. This creates noise, where words are exchanged but meaning is lost. Silence interrupts that pattern. It creates space, and in that space, clarity begins to form. When you choose not to speak immediately, you give yourself time to observe, to process, and to understand what is actually happening. Silence allows you to gather information. When you are not focused on expressing your own thoughts, you become more aware of others. You notice details in tone, body language, and behavior. These details provide insight that words alone may not reveal. This awareness gives you an advantage because your response is based on a deeper understanding. There is also control in silence. You are not reacting to every situation or every statement. You are choosing when to engage. This choice creates a sense of composure. People often associate silence with confidence because it shows that you are not driven by the need to fill every gap with words. You are comfortable with stillness. Silence can also shift the dynamics of a conversation. When others expect a quick response and instead encounter a pause, it changes their attention. It creates a moment where they reflect on what they have said. In some cases, silence encourages others to share more, revealing thoughts they might not have expressed otherwise. It also makes your words more impactful. When you speak less frequently, your words carry more weight. People pay closer attention because your voice is not constant. Each statement feels more intentional. This contrast between silence and speech creates emphasis. Silence supports better decision making. When you take time before responding, you reduce the influence of immediate emotion. You allow your thinking to become clearer. This leads to responses that are more balanced and considered. Instead of reacting, you are responding with intention. There is also strength in not needing to prove yourself through constant expression. Silence shows that you are secure enough to hold your position without explaining or defending it in every moment. This creates a sense of authority that is not forced but naturally perceived. Silence becomes a strategy when it is used with purpose. It is not about withdrawing or avoiding communication. It is about choosing the right moments to speak and allowing space for understanding to develop. It turns absence of words into presence of awareness, shaping how you observe, how you think, and how you respond to the world around you.